3,000 years ago, Korean engineers heated entire homes through winters that dropped below minus 20 degrees Celsius. No furnace, no ductwork, no electricity. They routed fire through stone passages beneath their floors and let thermal mass do all of the work. A $174 billion industry made sure you never learned how. By the end of this video, you will discover exactly why and how to build one yourself. I'm Eddie, and welcome back to Construction Odyssey. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss what the heating industry hopes stays forgotten. Every ancient civilization that endured brutal cold independently arrived at the same conclusion. The floor is the radiator. The earth is the battery. The Koreans proved it with the Ondol. The Romans proved it with the Hypocaust. The Afghans proved it with the Tawa Kana. Different continents, different centuries, identical physics. In ancient Korea, as early as 1000 BCE, engineers developed a system they called gudeul, meaning heated stone. Archaeological evidence discovered at a dwelling site in Sonbong in present-day North Korea dates this concept back 7,000 years. A firebox called an agunji sat in the kitchen. Horizontal smoke passages ran beneath a raised masonry floor. A chimney on the opposite wall created a natural draft, pulling hot gases through the entire floor. The construction prevented smoke from escaping too rapidly, allowing rooms to stay warm long after the fire burned out. A temple in Hadong reportedly kept its rooms warm for months after the last fire died. Months. From a single fire. The Chinese developed the Kang, a heated bed platform warming only a portion of the room. But only Korea perfected whole room radiant coverage utilizing conduction, radiation, and convection simultaneously. Compare that to a Western fireplace where only 1/5 of the heat actually radiates into the room. The rest vanishes up the chimney. And the fire that warmed the floor also cooked dinner above the firebox. The smoke acted as a natural sanitizer and pest control. One system, multiple functions, zero waste. Around 500 BCE, the Greeks began experimenting with underfloor heating. The Romans scaled it into the hypocaust system, raising entire floors on stone pillars called pilae, while hot air circulated through the cavities beneath. The ruins at Bath in England still show these pillar stacks intact 2,000 years later. In Anatolia, the Seljuk Turks ran terracotta pipes underground, channeling heat from bathhouse furnaces into connected rooms. In Afghanistan, the Tawa Kana drew warmth from cooking stoves through passages beneath stone floors. From the Korean peninsula to the Roman Empire to the mountains of Central Asia, every civilization that faced extreme cold arrived at the same answer. The floor is the most efficient surface in any building to deliver heat to the human body. So how did a 3,000-year-old Korean invention end up in American homes and then vanish? In the 19-teens, architect Frank Lloyd Wright traveled to Tokyo to work on the Imperial Hotel. He was invited to the estate of Baron Okura Kihachiro. The dining room upstairs was freezing. After dinner, the Baron led him to what the household called the Korean room. The floor was warm, the air was calm, no radiators, no vents, just warmth rising silently from stone. Wright was stunned. He later described that evening as a revelation that changed his entire philosophy on thermal comfort. In 1937, in Madison, Wisconsin, Wright built the Jacobs House for Herbert and Catherine Jacobs. Hot water flowed through wrought iron pipes in a concrete slab. It was the first American home using the Ondol principle. He called it gravity heat. He installed the same system in roughly 60 Usonian houses through 1958. Visitors to those homes all reported the same thing, a warmth they could not explain. No sound, no drafts, no dry throat in the morning, just even, silent heat rising from below. Abraham Levitt personally wrote to Wright requesting a sketch of his heating system. Between 1947 and 1951, 17,000 houses were built in Levittown, New York. Every single one had underfloor radiant heating. Eichler homes in California followed. Families walked barefoot on warm concrete floors in the dead of winter. Radiant floor heating was not exotic. It was mainstream American housing. Meanwhile, in Korea, 97% of households still relied on ondol well into the 20th century. The system never stopped working. It never fell out of favor. Every apartment building in South Korea today is still built with modern ondol floors beneath the surface. Yet today, 90% of homes in the United States use forced air. 17,000 radiant heated homes in Levittown alone, and then the entire country switched to ductwork. Someone profited when you forgot. The global heating, ventilation, and cooling market was valued at $174 billion in 2025. It is projected to reach $290 billion by 2034. Executives in corporate boardrooms depend on that growth. Lobbyists in government hallways protect the systems that feed it. The business model requires equipment that degrades, filters that need replacing, technicians in branded vans, and service contracts that recur year after year. Think about what happens when a forced air system is installed in a new home. The builder purchases ductwork, registers, a blower unit, and a furnace. Within 5 years, the homeowner replaces the air filter every 3 months. Within 10 years, the blower motor fails. Within 15 years, the entire furnace is replaced. Each failure generates a phone call. Each phone call generates a service invoice. Each invoice feeds the supply chain from manufacturer to distributor to contractor. Now multiply that across 130 million households in the United States. That is not a heating system. That is a revenue engine. Picture a hydronic radiant floor, PEX tubing rated for decades embedded in concrete. No ductwork, no filter subscriptions, no annual contracts. Once it is in the slab, it is there for the life of the building. One sale and then silence. Zero recurring revenue. No contractor pulling into your driveway every autumn. No technician upselling you a premium filter. No branded van in your neighborhood every week. Just a warm floor and a quiet house. The Department of Energy confirms heating accounts for about 42% of your utility bill. Forced air systems lose up to 30% of energy through duct losses alone. Hot air leaks into crawl spaces, attics, and wall cavities where nobody lives. Radiant floors eliminate ducts entirely, achieving 25 to 30% greater efficiency. But no corporation in a $174 billion industry had any reason to tell you that. Radiant floor heating is not banned anywhere. It faces something worse. It is simply unaddressed. Building codes and inspection checklists assume forced air as the default. When a building inspector encounters a system the code does not explicitly cover, the default answer is almost always no. Not because the system is dangerous, because nobody wrote the rule that says it is allowed. A 3,000-year-old proven technology is treated as an exotic novelty, while a system that wastes 30% of its own energy is the standard, not because the science supports it, because the money does. Research at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory documented energy savings of 20 to 42% compared to forced air. Radiant floors deliver temperature variation of plus or minus 1 degree Fahrenheit across a room. Forced air swings plus or minus 5 degrees, a 5-fold difference. Homeowners report equal comfort with thermostats set 2 to 4 degrees lower. Forced air blows heat to the ceiling, creating a 10-degree difference between ceiling and floor. Your head is warm, your feet are cold. Radiant floors reverse that completely. Heat rises from the surface where your body actually makes contact with the room. Your feet are warm, your ankles are warm, the chair you sit in is warm, the entire lower zone of the room where human life actually happens is warm. Peer-reviewed research published in the journal Energies confirmed that modern on-dual systems are more environmentally sustainable and cheaper over the full life cycle compared to conventional air heating. The ancient Koreans did not have peer-reviewed journals. They had 3,000 winters of testing. The journals finally caught up. Now you know the history and the science and who buried it. Here is how to build it yourself. First, make 3 decisions. Choose your heat source. A combination boiler provides both floor heating and hot water from one unit. Calculate your heat load, room by room, to determine boiler capacity and tubing layout. Target water temperatures range from 80 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Maximum slab surface temperature is 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Then decide your method based on new construction, an existing floor, or accessible joists below. For new construction, start with compacted earth. Lay a vapor barrier. Install rigid foam insulation. Lay PEX tubing spaced 9 inches on center in a serpentine loop. 12-inch spacing works in lower demand zones like hallways. Tie it to wire mesh or rebar to hold it firmly during the pour. Cover with 4 to 6 inches of concrete. That slab becomes your thermal mass. The modern version of the Korean heated stone floor absorbs warmth and releases it slowly across every square foot. For remodels, use foam panels with molded channels over the existing subfloor. Lock PEX in place and cover with a thin, dry pack concrete layer at a 5:1 sand to cement ratio. That adds roughly 1 inch of floor height. Thinner mass responds faster, allowing lower water temperatures and reduced energy costs. For existing homes with accessible joists, attach PEX tubing to aluminum heat transfer plates against the underside of the subfloor. The aluminum spreads heat laterally across the entire joist bay. Install a reflective barrier 1 to 2 inches below the plates. Add insulation bats beneath. The barrier redirects energy upward into the living space instead of letting it escape into the basement or crawl space below. Certain details will make or break the system. Keep each PEX loop under 250 feet. 150 feet is recommended. Longer loops lose too much heat before the water returns to the manifold. Install manifolds with zone valves to control temperatures room by room. This is the modern version of the traditional Ondal hierarchy, where the warmest spot nearest the firebox was always reserved for the elders of the household. Air elimination vents at high points are not optional. Trapped air causes noise and cold spots. Set your thermostat 2 to 3 degrees lower than forced air. You will feel identical warmth because radiant energy transfers heat directly to your body instead of heating empty air above your head. Korean engineers solved this 3,000 years ago with stone and fire and patience. Every new apartment in Seoul and Busan and Daegu is still built with Ondol floors beneath the surface. The physics have not changed. The materials have only gotten better. PEX tubing, a manifold, a boiler, and a weekend of focused work. The floor is waiting. Now you know not just why this was hidden, but exactly how to build it yourself. Subscribe to Construction Odyssey with Eddie. Please watch the next video appearing on your screen right now.